champ is here!
It's just a man!
Give me a hell yeah!
What the rock is cooking?
To be the man, you have to be the man! Big bubble pump! And you hooked up!
Fallen!
Holla! And the MS!
Woo, woo, woo!
Cup of coffee in the big day.
It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. Famcast Media probably brings the latest edition of Work in the Marks. It's been a while, I gotta tell you, but it's great to be back on here, folks. I am New Jersey's premier journalist, Fernando Uribe, and we got the great gang here. We got Macho Rodriguez, the Pitbull, and of course, New Jersey's premier wrestling analyst. And wow, I'll tell you, you can tell he's Puerto Rican. He's not really spelling too well, but he's New Jersey's premier wrestling analyst. The PBR superstar, Paddy Rican. What's going on, guys? How are you?
Oh, man, I'm good, man. I'm good. Glad to be on as a special guest here. Thank you.
It's not misspelled. It's actually the name of the power couple, Swiftsy. It's Swiftsy. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, Swiftsy.
Wow.
All right. You wouldn't know about that, but yeah. I did not.
No, I know about. I know about dating and stuff.
Hey, it's me.
I know about that. No, I know. I know it full well, so it's okay.
It's Swiftsy. All right. Stop hating. Enjoy the happiness. All right. I know you're a Swiftie. You don't like to talk about it. You like Michael Bubble. I know that. But you also like Taylor Swift too. All right. So
I wouldn't kick her out of my bed, but I wouldn't exactly date women like that.
Well, you're the problem, not her.
Oh, sure.
I'm the problem. It's me. Okay. So, but you know what? I'm just gonna shake it off, and we can keep it moving. All right.
So, folks, make sure you check us out on all of our social media. Obviously, all the platforms here. Sharing is caring, and let everybody you know how much you love Working the Marks with Famcast. Be a shout out to our amazing executive producer, Dee Rotten. Woo! This show happened with all the great graphics and audio and everything else. Guys, let's get started with some news here. Internet was kind of blazing the last 48 hours with Jade Cargill arriving in Orlando at the WWE Performance Center. And, a lot of guys that I know on group chats that talk about pro wrestling all the time, really, we're kind of up in arms about, is this a good move for Jade Cargill? And I said, listen, I don't know what type of weed you bought, but I mean, my God, it must be tainted with something, because there is no downside to Jade Cargill joining the WWE on a multi-year deal. She's a girl that's still very green, still has a lot to learn, but what's not to like about her? She's athletic. She's very good looking. She's just, she reaches a new, aside from Bianca Belair, obviously reaching out to those young girls that aspire to be pro wrestlers. And I think it's a win-win for Endeavor, TKO, and WWE. Again, as I said, she has a lot to learn, but listen, if there's anywhere she's going to get better at her craft, it's in Orlando at the PC, guys.
Absolutely.
Mach, you take this one first, since you're the special guest and I'm OJ's friend.
Got it. Personally, I believe that Jade Cargill to WWE is such a great move. I think she has always kind of been that fish out of water in AEW, and I've always felt like watching her style and watching her in-ring performance, she was bred for WWE style wrestling. She was working in a place where she was working a bunch of green girls who didn't really know how to work that well, and whenever she did work a veteran talent, they didn't have enough time in the ring, so she was kind of positioned as the Bill Goldberg of the division. And now she's going to a place where they're going to highlight her best features. And I'm looking forward to it. I think the sky's the limit, man. I wouldn't be surprised if she's main eventing WrestleMania 41 night one.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I think it's really good. I think she's obviously somebody who gets a lot of attention. I think for all those fans out there that were complaining about the Rhea Ripley matches being the same thing and everything being tired with her, well, now you got somebody else that you're throwing in there. I think her and Bianca Belair is really, really awesome. I like the idea of that. I think it's incredibly interesting. Her and Becky Lynch, I mean, you can pick and choose pretty much. But the best thing about this, I think, is the fact that Jade has a great attitude, okay? Mm-hmm. She was taken under Bryan Danielson's learning tree, and that's a hell of a fucking learning tree to be under. And more importantly, she seems receptive to constructive criticism, and she wants to improve. And that's the biggest thing, man, because you could have the look, you could have the body, you could have the talking, you could have the charisma, you could have all this stuff. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the right attitude and you're not willing to learn and you can't take constructive criticism, you're not going to go anywhere. She's obviously going to go straight to the top.
No, guys, you're right. I think the biggest question that remains is how long it's going to take her to get to the main roster. I think there's a good working sample that we have of Jade Cargill, obviously watching her in her matches for over a year, right? In the sense of the streak that she had as a TBS champion. But I would just say that, looking at what she presents, WWE since merging with Endeavor and TKO, again, at this point, guys, it's also about business. And who are you signing? Who are you going to attract? Because at the end of the day, it's really all about gaining new audiences. And not to sort of delve off on a different tangent, but it's sort of like, I love all this panic this week about fans saying, well, Raw's not doing too well on Mondays, and they're considering changing the institution of Raw on Monday nights to another day of the week. Let's, again, we can get to that in a moment, but the point is that, like, this is how you draw new stars. This is how you're going to draw demographics, young ladies, young women that watch pro wrestling.
Black girls. Let's just say it. Black girls. You're going to be bringing a lot of black girls. You're going to be bringing a lot of girls of color that are going to be coming and are going to be watching and are going to be excited about that. And that's awesome because you want to cover every demographic. What do you think Tiffany Stratton's for? She's got the Charlotte Flair shoes on. You know what I'm saying? She's going to be that girl in the future. So
the one thing I will say about Jade, though, I think where she's ahead of schedule to some extent, I think her promo work. I think she's better than average on the mic. I'm not saying she's a Becky or a Bailey or a Charlotte or Sasha, Mercedes Moné, but I would say that she's kind of ahead of schedule on the mic. Again, in-ring work, requires some improvement. There's no better facility on the planet, arguably, right, other than going to Japan, right, and going to the dojos there to work and to get the best instruction on how to get better in the ring. And
I don't think she's as bad, though, as maybe we might be.
No, I agree. I'm just saying, like,
she's workable. She's workable.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great sign by WWE, and for all the talk about who they've released in the last 7 to 10 days, which brings us to our next story. A lot of different wrestling shows in the last week to 10 days have opined about what this list means, and it may not be done yet. And I don't want to go through the entire list, though, guys, but it seems like there are some names that marks online and even the pundits have taken exception with as why is this girl released or that guy released? And two names that come to mind for me that I would argue that, listen, first person that everyone seems to be going crazy about is Dolph Ziggler. Now, Dolph Ziggler has been with the company, I believe, since early to mid 2004. I could be wrong on that date. I believe that's the time frame. And everything that Ryan Nemeth has been asked.
Nick Nemeth, his brother.
Nick Nemeth has been asked to do. He's done. Has he elevated talent? Yes. Has he been in main event type matches? Has he been in main event storylines? Yes. He's been a great worker. For whatever reason, the marks have sort of latched on to the conspiracy that, like a lot of times we hear, Vince didn't push him right, or Vince didn't elevate him, or Vince didn't put the title on him, and things of that nature. Again, we don't know what the backstage politics and the backstage workings are, but that's a name that a lot of the wrestling fans and pundits alike have taken exception with. But at the same token, it's almost 20 years. What more can Dolph Ziggler do? He's still in great shape, still a great worker, not old in life years, but he's old in wrestling years. I don't think a break right now will be the worst thing for Dolph Ziggler.
I don't think so. I think he's in a position where he's earned it. He's done a lot. He's wrestled a lot over the last years. I mean, look, he's a guy that I think had a lot of buzz, had a lot of potential to be a main eventer. For one reason or another, it just never worked out. I think maybe there was people that within the company that didn't like the fact that he was a mark, that felt like he was a dude who could moonlight with the main event but not really be a main eventer steadily. And he kind of fizzled out, man. I mean, the injury, it's a shame we never really got to see how far him as champion could have gone, because he did get that concussion and they put the title on Del Rio and all that. But I don't know, man. I just think for one reason or another, he's just one of those guys that never really was ever able to break through, but he became a very dependable hand for the company as time went on.
Yeah, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. I think Dolph is one of those guys that he as he said on the Chris Van Vliet show, he doesn't need the money. He's done a really good job of protecting himself, of saving up his stash. So I think he's in a spot right now that he can do stand-up comedy. He can continue to do improv. He can step away from the business right now. And, he'd be satisfied with the work that he's provided us. Now, would he show up as Nick Nemeth over in AEW to just have some bucket list type matches like, Ziggler versus Omega, Ziggler versus Hangman Page? Will he do that? I don't know. But I don't know if he'll be, if that's something that he's itching to do right now.
I don't hate it either. I think that's actually pretty cool. That would be interesting matchups to see.
No, I agree. Another big name that marks and wrestling pundits alike online have, raised some eyebrows about was Matt Riddle. Now let's be honest here. I don't know if you've seen the clip over. It's kind of got popular on Twitter the last 96 hours, but let's be fair. If someone's smiling right now, it's probably Dana White, who is in no position to be sanctimonious about anything, to be honest. But people like Dana White and others that raised some red flags about Matt Riddle a while ago are kind of getting that, I told you so vibe that a lot of people like to sort of, give off. But it's interesting because Matt Riddle came through developmental. He went through NXT, won the tag titles with I forgot what his name was.
Pete Dunne.
Pete Dunne, that's right. And, become Butch. And listen, I think he came up to the main roster. The bro movement just was really lit a fire, and he sold merch. He was an innovative character. Obviously, you hadn't seen a guy wrestle barefoot really consistently in quite some time since Rusev when he was in WWE. And it was, whether it's his backstage behavior away from the ring, his personal life, what's gone on with him, maybe issues about substance abuse. It just seems like Matt Riddle had a lot going for him. And we may not know the full story, but it just seems like maybe it was just time to cut the cord with him. And, that sometimes happens in companies.
Yeah.
Mach, you could take this one.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Riddle's one of those guys that he's always going to be thought of as like, what if? He's always going to be labeled as what if. It's unfortunate that he wasn't able to get his shit together. I'm hoping, and this is just my personal hope, that he has the Eddie Guerrero treatment, that maybe he takes this as a wake-up call. He leaves the company. He goes out there, does some indie booking dates, realizes that that's not really about him, and makes his way back clean, sober to the WWE, because to me, he's always kind of been one of those stars that I felt like was just kept on the bottom of the roster, and he's always had potential to be a top guy.
Yeah, I agree. David Gregory Karsh says Riddle was a mid-card bum. I disagree with that strongly.
We held the tag titles for quite some time with Randy Orton. I mean, let's be fair.
Yeah.
Come on.
Dude, he was a very popular wrestler. Yeah. Okay.
Merch was flying off the shelves, let's be honest.
Bro, I remember seeing an RK Bro hat on Bergen Line. Okay. Yeah. And that's how you know things are coming up, when you see it on Bergen Line.
Yep.
But look, man, he's just another wrestler that was very talented, that had massive potential, that got sidetracked by personal shit, man. It's not anything supernatural to wrestling. We've seen it a million times, unfortunately. I hope this doesn't end in any type of tragedy. I mean, he had a lot of issues. I mean, whether it's his genitalia popping out, or, it's his issues at the airport, or run-ins with cocaine, or marrying an adult film actress. He's put himself in a lot of spots. And he was rapped. Well, obviously you can't fucking spell. So I think you were trying to imply that he was raped at JFK. But you might want to spell check that next time, David. Yeah, raped, not rapped. He was rapped. Like, yo, Matt Riddle chilling with a griddle. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, that didn't fucking happen. Okay. God, Jesus. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Pick the death metal, please.
But yeah, I feel for Matt. And I'm with Mach in saying that I hope he makes his way back. I hope there's an Eddie Guerrero situation, because I see a lot of potential there. But to the professor's point, Dana White's involved now, man, and Dana White don't fucking like him for anything. So I don't know how it turns out, but I just hope it doesn't turn out in tragedy.
I'm with you. Another name that I think was interesting, but not a surprise. He's had, you talk about going back to the OVW days. Shelton Benjamin seems like his run with WWE, I think, has come to a close. And you want to talk about a good 20-year career. A guy who, and again, I don't want to feed into the conspiracy theories that Marks like to do online about Vince and booking and presentation. It just seemed really interesting in 2004 when the Intercontinental title was placed on him and he was feuding with Triple H for a little bit. And you just thought, man, this is a guy who not the best in the mic skills, but a hell of a worker, great presentation. Again, getting eyes on the product, getting a black superstar out there front and center on Monday Night Raw, leading that brand back in 2003 and 2004, respectively. It just seemed like, he never really reached that top pinnacle, even when he was the gold standard. And yes, he was IC champion again. Yes, he won the tag titles with Charlie Haas as part of Team Angle, and then the world's greatest tag team. And then certainly, he would kind of like jump back and forth, coming back in. He'd make Rumble appearances. He'd be great on, during Money in the Bank ladder matches. When he was in the Hurt Business in 2019, I think that was a great run for him and that stable. Listen, I hope he's maintained his money very much like Dolph Ziggler. He saved it. He seems to still be in relatively good health. Would it be the worst thing for Sean Benjamin to, again, take a break from the ring and see what else is out there right now, again, after what I think has been a very good and very underrated 20-year career?
Agreed.
I agree. I think with Shelton, he contributed a lot to the business. He was put in Team Angle with Charlie Haas. In my opinion, unfortunately, it was not to be the Haas brothers, but it should have been the Haas brothers because I think that would have been amazing with Kurt Angle. But, he did a great job tagging with Charlie. They had a great run as Team Angle. And even after that, his solo run was really, really good, man. Still one of the most memorable super kicks ever.
Yep.
Him and Shawn Michaels, that super kick on Monday Night Raw.
That match, very underrated match, by the way.
Yeah.
Very underrated match.
I mean, I think Shelton is a guy that if you know wrestling and you appreciate wrestling, you're going to appreciate him and you're going to appreciate his career and everything he contributed. And I wish him all the best. He'd be another guy. If he popped up in AEW, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Mm-hmm. I mean, personally, I don't think he goes to AEW. I kind of see him as a producer or possibly like a trainer in NXT. I think he's that valuable to the company. There has been word on this list that some of these people will be coming back, that they will get re-signed, probably on lesser deals. Probably they'll be put in different positions. But I also don't want to discount what he did with the Hurt Business because that was really good too.
Yes.
So personally, I just look at him as one of those guys who he's invaluable to the business itself. Like there's no way they let him go over to AEW. I don't think he really wants to be that person where he wants to go over there and he wants to take care of that daycare. I mean, there's no need for that.
That's right. Macho said it perfectly. One last name here, and the reason I bring her up is, she came up during a time when there were a lot of fit, good-looking blondes like Alexa Bliss and Mandy Rose at the time, and Charlotte was up and coming. Dana Brooke, it's interesting, man. They gave her a lot of chances on television. Good-looking woman, fit, not too bad on the mic. I think she, did her job well. Just never really fit in any big angles. And, again, she's nice to look at. I mean, I wouldn't kick her out of my bed, but it just seems in a division that's cluttered with a lot of fit women, it seems like Dana Brooke was the odd woman out, as they say.
Yeah, I would say so. I think that they tried to repackage her a few times. I think they tried to put her together in a bunch of different ways. I got to be honest. I know I'm in the minority here, but I love their stuff with Reggie. I thought that shit was great. I thought her stuff with R-Truth was super entertaining. I thought her being 24/7 champ was pretty interesting. I know a lot of people hate the 24/7 title. Who knows? Maybe it might come back as a hardcore title. We'll see. There's gonna be a lot of changes.
They're past that, or I think they're past that.
Yeah, but
they're past that.
I don't know though, dude. I think there's a market there. There's money to be made, and if you can bring in somebody who's good at it, people are gonna want to watch, man. It's just another layer.
But there's no color anymore.
You don't need color to have a good hardcore match. How many fucking good hardcore matches have we seen these last few years that haven't had color in it? You know what I'm saying? You could do it any way you want. But hey, man, credit to her, man. I respect her. She wasn't always the most talented, but over time she got good. She figured out what she did very fucking well. She's a great athlete, man. And another one, if she went to Impact, I could see her in Impact. I could see her doing something there.
Yeah, good
especially with the women division they have there. Yeah, so all the best to her too.
Yeah.
Macho?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I look at Dana Brooke as one of those people that just got it a little too late. It took her too long to get to the spot in the ring and on the microphone to where she is now. And when you look at her and you're watching the matches that she's having in NXT, it's the best run of her career. It's unfortunate that it was cut short, but obviously, you know, business is business. And just like you guys said, she was just the odd person out. I mean,
guys, some interesting news here. Let's just sort of go around the wrestling news wire, as they say. And
oh, and I got a special scoop for you guys too, hot off the presses, involving The Rock, John Cena, and some guy that does that. Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know. That guy. No, not that guy. That guy's way more talented. Some other guy who kind of shortened the word.
You didn't say that.
all right. Well, let me talk to you, because according to Eric Mutter on Wrestling,
Nice segue.
I'll tell you, what a great paragraph. He starts off his article this week. He says, quote, AEW may be looking forward to Wrestle Dream in Seattle this weekend, but the pay-per-view has caused some complications elsewhere, affecting the immediate plans of AAA. The Lucha Libre promotion is also running a major event this weekend called Héroes Inmortales this weekend, and it had originally booked Penta El Cero Miedo for the main event, but that was before he was added to the Wrestle Dream card. It's now confirmed by AAA that he will be missing the show in Zapopan, Jalisco, Mexico. Announcing his replacement will be Alberto El Patron, and he will be teaming with AAA regular Octagon Jr. to take on Sam Adonis and AAA. This kills me even say it out loud because it's blasphemy. The AAA Latin American champion, ay Dios mío, QT Marshall in the main event.
Acknowledge me.
Yes. At Héroes Inmortal. Look at Alberto getting back into some mainstream promotions. What do you think, guys?
I'm excited about that because I'm a big fan of Alberto. I know like his outside of wrestling issues, they're pretty eye-popping, so we don't want to discount those. But in terms of being in the ring, he's one of my favorite talents. I loved his run with CM Punk. I loved his run with John Cena, his run with Dolph Ziggler. I'm a big fan. Even his TNA run was really well done. He's amazing on the microphone. One of the best Latin talkers ever. He's kind of that guy that I think WWE wanted Andrade to be, but they never had that. I mean, we're talking about a 4-time WWE champion. What an amazing talent. I'm glad that he's coming back to the ring.
I think if he could stay out of trouble, he can keep his nose out of powders, he'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I think what's even interesting here, it's like, you know, again, I'm still trying to process the premise of like the AAA Latin American champion QT Marshall. It's like if Pat went to work at the Apple store. Like it doesn't vibe. I'm trying to process this. It's like what?
It's like if you paid $10 a month for Peacock. Yeah, it's just like that.
Says the guy who won't share his passwords. But I mean, let's not talk about that.
What? I don't know how to use a phone.
What's
Remember,
that?
I'm an Android user. I don't know how to use a phone, so can't tell you what the password is.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I mean, aside from QT Marshall being the AAA Latin American champion, I think this is a show that could raise a lot of eyebrows.
He's a good wrestler, bro. Put some respect on his name. He's a hell of a trainer,
I just
Good
think
for him.
I just think their attempts at comedy, like when WWE does comedy in certain segments and vignettes, they do it again. They have good TV people and they do it to the best of their ability. When AEW tries to do comedy like QTV, I mean,
They're trying, Fernando.
It's gut wrenching. It's a little gut wrenching. What's that?
They're trying. Well,
okay. Well, I mean,
Should he copy a bad WCW idea? Should he be the fucking Four Horsemen again? MJF already tried that. You know what? Why don't him and Powerhouse Hobbs team together and call themselves High Voltage? You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's a good idea. That'll be fresh. You know
what? That wouldn't be the worst thing.
Put some respect on his name, though. That's a good wrestling trainer, QT.
No, you're right. He is a good trainer. I don't disagree. But again, this card in Mexico this weekend should raise some eyebrows, obviously. And again, as it's going up against, Wrestle Dream on Sunday in Seattle, be interesting to see if obviously Alberto being in that main event will get more eyes on him. Again, I don't ever see him going back to WWE. I think, again, merging with Endeavor and TKO, I just get this sense that anybody that's that much of a problem or someone that has more baggage than JFK Airport late at night, like Alberto El Patron, I think is someone that you might want to steer away from. But who knows? Maybe this could just be a reintroduction into maybe getting some eyes on him again.
Vince liked him. Vince liked him a lot.
Yeah.
So that says a lot about his talent.
Well, I agree, but in these years since then, I mean, I know he's had some legal troubles and everything else, but you would think that wouldn't be the worst thing to bring.
Well, how old is he now? That's the other thing too.
That's a good question. I'll have to look up that one.
David Gregory Cargill.
Jesus,
Paige loved him. Paige loved him.
Oh yeah,
sure she did.
She
sure
loved
she
him.
did.
They loved each other.
Uh-huh.
They were no Swiftsy.
Oh, that's true.
Together.
Speaking of an interesting couple, obviously, whether it's father and son, it seems like the Kahn family's been in the headline, guys, about addressing rumors of Tony Khan possibly buying New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, I think that the rumor is predicated on the fact that there's still some negotiation about AEW going to HBO Max and having a streaming deal. And why not have a bigger library if that's the case, to at least make yourself a more attractive candidate at the negotiating table? I don't think it's going to happen, but the rumors aren't dying down though, guys.
I definitely do not want this to happen. This is one of those things where I'm going to have to be a full-on irrational wrestling fan here. This man can barely run his own company. He has a world champion that we don't even care about his title. You know what I mean? He doesn't know how to run a women's division. He doesn't know how to book a single person of color. And then he's going to run an entire company that is one of the most popular companies globally. I fear for the people in New Japan. I fear for that. Just having a guy like him run that company, that would be terrible. Now, if you told me that Vince McMahon was going to buy New Japan, I'm all for it. I think that would be great.
But guys, it makes you wonder about the financial status of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Again, even coming out of the pandemic, and Pat's the New Japan aficionado for sure. I only watch it on Thursdays on Access after Impact Wrestling. But it just seems like when you hear whispers like this, it makes you wonder if that company's, on good financial footing. Even after the pandemic, they started running shows. They're not in the biggest of buildings in Japan. Listen, here when they're in California for those West Coast shows, they got a good crowd for the buildings that they were in. But backstage, maybe we don't know what the inner workings are financially. And who knows, this might make sense for the hierarchy and leadership and New Japan. But I'm with you, Macho. I'm going to be irrational too. This would be the worst thing for arguably the second best, organized wrestling promotion on the planet.
Yeah. I'm not buying this. I think this is some bullshit rumor that's going around. I need to see more. But if this is true, I fucking say capital fuck no. Okay? Like straight the fuck up. Like no. This dude bought the Ring of Honor library. Okay, fine. He tried to bring back Ring of Honor. He tried to put on, these Ring of Honor shows that nobody's really going to. Okay. And look, they've had some decent matches. Some of it's been a shit show. But, this guy hasn't done good with Ring of Honor. What makes anybody think that he's going to do good with New Japan? And New Japan is something that's very prestigious, man. There's a lot of pride in there, I'm not sure of what the financial situation is with the company. I know they've been running. They ran throughout the entire pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, they did everything. And, I know a lot of people like David Gregory Cargill, who does not spell check whatsoever. That's not the way you spell Kahn. It's Khan.
D, I'm telling you, man, bro, it's a tsunami tonight, brother.
Catching strays all over the place.
I'm sorry, bro. It's just a bad spelling. It gets me.
I got you.
But damn iPhone. But yeah, nah, dude. I can't, man. And they ran throughout the entire pandemic. They're a company that still succeeds. They draw 40,000 fans each year at fucking Wrestle Kingdom. And here's the biggest thing to me, okay? This is something that not a lot of people talk about. You're never going to see any of the AEW fucking cultists talking about this shit. But what has the relationship between AEW, New Japan, and Impact generated? Does Impact talent look any better now? Does New Japan talent look any better now? No. 90% of the fucking matches were won by AEW guys.
Yeah.
Why would they want to work with fucking AEW anymore? Who's been made bigger? You know what I'm saying?
this is one of those things that really annoys me with Tony Khan, because he can go out there and make blasphemous statements like, I'm not going to make the same mistakes that Eric Bischoff made. But Eric, we know from watching New Japan, me specifically, because I am a WCW guy, that Eric Bischoff, he would book his guys to win here in the States. But when he sent his guys back to Japan, he told them in New Japan, hey, you do what you need to do. Carry your brand however you need to carry it. Obviously, if Hogan goes over there, Hogan's winning. But anybody else, do the job if you need to put one of your guys over. And Tony Khan won't do that. When have we seen somebody, we watch Okada come to the States and work over here. What about our guys going to Japan and jobbing for Okada? Putting, like giving the favor back. We don't see stuff like that. Yeah. They never look good. That Forbidden Door, if that pay-per-view never happens again, I'd be very happy.
And, to Macho's point, I mean, when you look at this year's Forbidden Door, other than the New Japan heavyweight champion beating MJF, it was pretty much an AEW sweep when you look at the AEW against New Japan Talent.
No, he beat Jack Perry.
Yeah. He beat Jack Perry.
I'm sorry, my bad. Yes, my bad. I'm sorry. That's right. Excuse me.
No, Platform Shoes hasn't lost in a while.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yes, that's right. But it just seems, and to Macho's point about the idea that, listen, you're not booking, I think, in a way that best suits and best presents talent in that sort of three-way inter-promotional attempt that, listen, during the pandemic and towards the tail end of the pandemic, as someone who is an avid Impact fan, I remember watching on Thursdays, you would see, special announcement coming from Tony Khan. He would say, tune into Dynamite this coming Wednesday, et cetera, for whatever was going on. And to Pat's point, he's right. It never really made anyone look good. Did when Kenny Omega went to Impact and in the title match against Rick Swann, and he won the Impact title, remember he became the collector. I mean, did it really help elevate Rick Swann? No, not really. Did it help elevate other stars that were working with AEW's talent? No, it didn't. I just think it's interesting. But to the point about why this, I think, is becoming information, out there, I would just say that, listen, the news about, Max possibly working something out with AEW. Listen, Wrestle Dream is this Sunday. Very, very lackluster card. And you got
only one good match.
Yeah, and then you got Heavy Machine, and then you have Heavy Machinery, whatever it's called, in November, emanating from the iconic Forum in Inglewood, California, home of my Lakers, back in the day. And even that card might be lackluster. You know what I'm saying? So it's weird that you would think that Tony Khan, in this economy, still charging $50 for a pay-per-view. And listen, the diehards are going to pay it, or they'll stream it illegally on one of those sites that has like more pop-ups than like a Viagra commercial. But it's, to me, I just think that it's weird that Khan should be expediting this quicker. Again, we don't know the backstage politics or the negotiating dynamics about this, but if AEW goes to Max, it wouldn't be the worst thing. And I think it will be cost effective for that fan base.
Absolutely.
I agree. I agree with that, but I think the New Japan thing, until I see more, man, I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it. I'm not buying it, man. I'm really, really, really not buying it, man. We'll see over time what happens, but yeah, I think that's baloney. Now, them going to streaming, that's the thing that they should do.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Put Ring of Honor on there, put all the AEW shit on there. Them trying to buy New Japan just to put the streaming library up, Well, I mean, bro, let me paint a picture for you here, okay? You have the AEW shows, you have ROH shows. Imagine him trying to have a New Japan show now in America. Imagine how long those fucking tapings are gonna be, bro. Because they already got 6-hour shows on average on fucking Wednesday when they record Rampage and fucking Dynamite, and then you got Collision, this other special show. So imagine if they start doing Ring of Honor and New Japan before and after those shows.
Oh no, that'd be madness. I think you would need to chop up Adderall and cocaine into some powdery substance and sort of distribute it on the lowdown. Just
the
to keep
snowman.
Speaking of the snowman, going to say Mohan from Wrestling Inc. this week. Interesting, with WWE SmackDown officially moving from Fox to USA starting in October of 2024. There's some speculation of whether or not Fox would indeed be interested in vying for another wrestling program in the future. So during a conference call this week concerning AEW media rights, who coincidentally also do expire with Warner Brothers Discovery in 2024 around the same time, Tony Khan was asked on a media call this past Tuesday if he expects, I'm going to try to say this without laughing, if he expects Fox to be a potential suitor for shows such as AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision next year. And according to Tony Khan, he said, the following. I don't think it would be fair to talk about possible bidders or outside speculation. Right now, we're on Warner Brothers Discovery, and I find that in the entertainment business, there's not a lot of loyalty these days, and there should be. This is a family business I run. I don't run a public company. Leave it to Tony to always maybe want to take a little backhanded slight at WWE when he can. I would seriously doubt Fox would even want to touch this if they want to keep any audience whatsoever. I get it. USA, NBC, Universal clearly outbid them. Maybe Fox was just trying to be cost effective. It's not for lack of ratings. It's not like, oh, well, they weren't really trying to keep SmackDown. SmackDown was good programming for them on Friday nights. Having said that, I would seriously doubt that Warner Brothers Discovery is going to let AEW walk away. Maybe not the same money. Maybe Tony Khan and his father Shad might have to reconsider what their budgets are going to be. But I would seriously doubt, guys, that Fox would even make an attempt at Dynamite, at Rampage, at Collision. My God, I mean,
no way. They can't even get 800,000 viewers on their A show, which is supposed to be Wednesday night. And we think that they're going to hit that 2.4 million mark that WWE SmackDown gets. No way. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, what's the sense? Plus, you got to think they're really deep in bed already with fucking Discovery. It's like they're giving them all these shows. They're doing all these things. I was listening to K100, which, I'm a pretty regular listener of the show. Shout out to K100, K-Dog, Disco, Feeney. You guys do a great show. Great job there. And they had Eric Bischoff on. And Eric Bischoff was asked, why does Discovery keep giving AEW these shows? And his answer was, it's because we're in a position now in 2023 where everything has kind of been done. TV is dying. TV is like the rotary phone. Like it's pretty much like it's going to be gone. So they're going to try everything that they can streaming wise, and pretty much just like, because if you really think about it, what's cable? Cable's basically what? Sports and news. That's basically what cable is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Obviously, people subscribe to those, streaming services, and that's how you can watch your shows and all that other shit. But it's basically live sports and news. So they're trying a lot of different things. But Pat, cable's changing because, for example, like I subscribe to Sling, and I pay $40 a month, and that's my justification for having cable, as opposed to the monthly fee to rent a converter box, everything else that goes in with a cable contract. I mean, those streaming services, like, But you watch news and live sports regularly. You watch like opinion news. You watch all that shit all the time, and you watch sports. So that's why you use it. But like a lot of people that don't do that, they stream whatever it is that they like, and that market is kind of dying, and that's why the numbers are kind of low. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you're seeing more like the streaming services like Max, like Netflix. They're getting a lot more of the views than, let's say, the TV networks are, because that's more of a focused type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So they're trying different strategies to kind of keep TV alive and keep people tuning into these shows, which is why they're giving AEW these shows. It kind of, it makes sense when you think about it, for as absurd as it might be, only because of, AEW's poor ratings. But yeah, they're trying different strategies, and I think that we're going to see different things in the future. And, don't be surprised if they get a fucking third show. I wouldn't be,
Agreed.
It's weird to say, though, guys, because, looking at the talk this week, again, which helps a segue to talk about Raw. I mean, obviously some whispers about the future of Monday Night Raw as it's presently constituted. I just think it's funny about the hysteria when it comes to ratings. And I think that, listen, Raw between the months of September to mid to late January, obviously don't do as well as the rest of the year. Obviously, the NFL, we know in North America, is arguably the most watched sport in North America, even far surpassing the NBA.
Even the champion of North America, the most dangerous man in professional wrestling, Dominic Mysterio, even he watches the NFL.
Who apparently doesn't like signing autographs. Apparently, as reported in Ringside News today, apparently not liking to sign autographs out there.
Good. You got to pay him. He's a star.
Keep kayfabe alive. That's right.
Exactly right. But what's interesting though is the idea that, listen, maybe it's driven by Endeavor and TKO. They want to maximize ratings, but Raw still does a good number. And for 30 plus years already, like going back to when Vince ran things again and WWE was WWF, they knew what they were getting on Monday nights. Now, having said that, sometimes there are some good Monday night games. Obviously, we know that the opening night on Monday Night Football this year was the most watched game in history based on the fact of who was going to premiere there for only 4 plays. He played.
Aaron Rodgers watched it.
Yeah, well, he watched the rest of the game from the locker room, sure. And I think that for the rest of the year,
No, that's terrible. I take that back.
WWE knows what they're getting on Monday. And even during the NFL season, Raw still does a good number. Now, does it pick up more in February as it's the road to WrestleMania and going to the summer? Sure. Again, it's not like baseball, basketball, and hockey have an undue effect on the WWE on Monday nights like the NFL does. Having said that, I think, listen, I know Pat's always about change, and I wouldn't mind this, I wouldn't mind that, but I think an institution like Monday Night Raw, it wouldn't be the worst thing to keep it on. Now, where you fit them in a channel remains to be seen. I think that's the other argument. Well, do you want to keep them in USA? Do you move them? We'll see. But it's an institution. And I'm not being a boomer. I'm not being a millennial. I'm not being some, person crying into the wind or screaming at the sky. I just think it's an institution that's worth preserving, especially as a wrestling fan.
Yeah, I mean, personally, go ahead.
I
was just going to say, personally, I like the fact that Raw has been either on USA or Spike or TNN for as long as it has been.
Sure.
I think it's the premier show. It's the show that's been around since we were children. You know what I mean? Like, well, I mean, me and Pat at least. And I just kind of look at it as like, how could it possibly leave USA? I thought when SmackDown was moving over to, when we heard SmackDown was moving over to USA, I personally thought I was like, oh, they're going to get all the shows. They're going to have them all. NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. It's just going to be a part of their stuff because all they really do is show us Grizzly Knows Bests and Law and Order Special Victims Unit reruns. So why not keep what you have? And then you'll at least be getting like absolute ratings on Mondays, on Tuesdays, and on Fridays. So for them to move to a different network or move to a different day, I actually think it would hurt the Monday night show. I actually think it would hurt the ratings all around and it would hurt Raw.
I think it could move. It could change. It could go to a different night. USA, they're smart, man. They got that 18 to 49 demo locked down, man. If you think about it, they have Monday Night Raw, right? Which that's where you're going to get it the most. Wrestling in general, you're going to get it the most. I mean, WWE, they really get, the most bang for your buck with that. They have, what else? Don't they have basketball too? They have basketball. Oh, no, that's TNT. That's TNT. Okay. So they have the Premier League too, which, believe it or not, in North America, the Premier League is one of the most watched fucking sports, bro. Especially the Premier League, which is why the deals were negotiated so hard to bring them over here. So they have the Premier League and they have WWE. Doesn't matter what night you fucking put it on, bro. Could be, you know what I want to see? Wednesday Night Raw. That's what I want to see. Wednesday Night Raw. Let's go. Let's see. That would be interesting. And I guarantee you they'd still bring in more numbers.
Agreed.
Easy.
Oh, I don't disagree with you. I just think, again, to Macho's point, I just think as an institution and seeing that Raw's been on Mondays, I don't think it would be the worst thing. Again,
things change, bro. Things change, man.
No, I understand. I understand that
there's new ownership too. That's the other thing you got to consider.
No, I understand. And again, I think that maybe I'm just speculating here out loud, but maybe it's just Endeavor and TKO saying, well, listen, we're not really thrilled with these numbers on Monday. But I mean, they pick up again. And if it's a bad Monday night game, like case in point, like this Monday coming up, it's the Seahawks and the Giants. I mean, okay, well, it may not be the best rating. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the following week. It's just, I just think it's a lot of hysteria for nothing that Raw still does well over 1.5 million, if not over 2. It's not the end of the world. And remember, guys, it's the fall. Survivor Series is coming. One of the original Big Four pay-per-views. There's going to be a lot of eyes on that. War Games coming up at Survivor Series in Chicago. The speculation of who might show up in Chicago, okay? All these things, I think, will get Raw to its regular numbers. I just think if there's any hysteria, I just think it's much, to quote the Immortal Bard, I think it's much ado about nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what happens, bro. I think it's interesting if they move it, if they change the night. What I would personally like to see is SmackDown is going to USA. Why not put Raw on fucking free TV, man? Why not put Raw on Fox? Why not do that? Why not switch it up? That would be something interesting. And then that way, I mean, obviously they're going to have the ABC game, right? So, people are going to tune into that, if they don't have fucking streaming services or whatever, if they don't have cable. Mm-hmm. But you got something competing with that's a little bit easier for people to get to, man. And for people that aren't interested in American football, which there are people who aren't, you can watch your wrestling easily.
Tragically.
You know what I'm saying?
Tragically. And yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it personally.
Yeah, I stay away from people like that. Yeah, I stay away from people like that. Yeah. But definitely,
I got some news. Can I segue into my news? Well, we have a main event topic, don't we? Right?
Well, I was going to mention a topic because you guys are workers, and now I was thinking of a topic here. But please, Pat.
Okay, let me hit you with the news. Then we'll do that one. So this has been confirmed by the Dirty Sheets by Billy Body, and it basically the gist of it is that The Rock is back, and The Rock will be back in a full-on capacity. And the reason for The Rock coming back is because The Rock didn't want to come back after Black Adam flopped and have news of Vince McMahon potentially being involved in another legal issue or being viewed as a rapist by the general public, coming out and biting him in the ass on top of Black Adam being a flop. So, he's basically protecting his brand, which is very, very smart. You know what I mean? I don't blame him for doing that. And he kind of figured he would sit it out. So everything was scrapped and they went with Cody. Now that we have new ownership in WWE, now that it's Endeavor, now that it's TKO, they can fire Vince McMahon if something pops back up again. And obviously Vince has been handsomely paid, and The Rock can still come back and do stuff and it won't affect him. So wrestling fans out there that are watching this show, marks that are watching this show, expect it, live with it, deal with it. Roman Reigns versus The Rock at WrestleMania. It is going to happen. And because of that, at some point between now and then.
Yeah, but Rocky's not winning. I'm getting another shirt next year for Roman Reigns winning back-to-back pay-per-views. Rock isn't winning that. Hell no.
Well, you're going to have to, especially if your Cowboys keep playing that way. But I couldn't help it. I have to.
That's okay.
I mean, shit, we might lose to the Cardinals this weekend. We don't know, But yeah, dude, fully expect The Rock at WrestleMania. Get used to it. They're not finishing the story. And at some
it was a
point,
stupid story anyway.
I think it's a good story. I think he's the
Macho.
guy. I think he's going to be the guy.
Dusty Rhodes, baby. How dare you be saying that about the son of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes?
Dusty Rhodes liked Roman Reigns more than he liked his own son. So
you might not be wrong. Be wrong.
I'll tell you.
I think that's what we're going to be getting in the meantime, right? So because of Roman and Rocky working together at WrestleMania, we're now going to get John Cena and Cody at some point. So that's going to be a big match. That could potentially be a WrestleMania match. That might even happen in Saudi Arabia, or we might just get John Cena taking on somebody in Saudi Arabia, which John Cena is probably going to be going there. In other news, though, this one's going to be interesting for a select portion of the audience and perhaps 1/3 of this triple threat here tonight.
Okay.
But it looks like at the upcoming FastLane pay-per-view, it's going to be John Cena and LA Knight taking on Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is all if Knight gets better from COVID and all that stuff and he's cleared in time to be able to come back.
I'm sure
it looks like Knight is going to pin a member of the Bloodline in that match, and it is going to lead to a crown jewel matchup in November between Roman Reigns and LA Knight for the Undisputed Championship. So
that building might explode. That building might explode. That building's gonna explode. It's gonna explode.
That's interesting that John Cena would tag with a guy who's very similar to a guy he helped kick out of the company, and Mr. Kennedy. I think that's pretty interesting.
That's Macho, a great observation.
I love this guy. We gotta keep this guy every week here. I don't care. We gotta keep this guy.
I mean, I'm a fan of. I've slowly become a fan of LA Knight because he helps me appreciate the Attitude Era. I like to look at movies. Like, I personally liked Black Adam, right? And I was like, okay, when I watched Black Adam, I thought of Commando. I was like, yeah, I loved Commando as a kid. Like, that was awesome. It was like outrageous. So I enjoyed it. That's kind of how I look at LA Knight. When I watch him, I'm just like, hey, The Rock and Austin had a baby. Like, and this is who we got.
Unbelievable. This, I'll tell you.
I mean,
look, I think he's great.
I think it's good. I think it's good for him. I think this is a positive step forward for him, working with the bloodline, working with Roman.
Yeah.
Throw him into the fucking fire. Let's see how he does. You know what I'm saying? At worst, he comes out in a Sami Zayn position or a Cody Rhodes position or a Kevin Owens position.
Absolutely.
Those guys are super over. They're super hot. So, I mean, you just made another star,
Those
this
are
could
great
be his
points.
moment.
Yeah, those are really great points, but you do understand that if he comes out in a Daniel Bryan position, it could ruin a lot of things.
It could, but I don't see it happening, man. I just
you don't think his fan base would get that behind him?
Nah, bro. More than The Rock for WrestleMania?
Well, no.
More than Cody? Cody. He's gonna get a better response than Cody. I'm sorry, dude, but Cody's a better talker than LA Knight.
No, I get it.
No, Pat, I get that. But I remember when we talked about this last time we were at a Devil game. Actually, the Devil season ticket thing. We went to at Prudential Center. We were talking about this over a beer. Listen, little by little, Sean Ricker, I think, has made the most of his chances now in being featured more prominently. Obviously, getting certain pops. We know that Paul Levesque production team are there in the building. They hear it. They've seen what merch does. Obviously, he's featured now in the commercials. We'll see. Is it something that's seasonal, like the flu? Maybe. We're going to find out. But if he continues at this pace of getting a good reaction, getting good merch sales, cutting, promos have been fine. I don't think there's one promo you're going to be like, you're going to like hold your nose at, like you're walking into the voting booth or something. I think it's incrementally, I think he's become better. Now, having said that, if by the time we get to Tampa in January for the Royal Rumble and he's still continuing, based on what you're saying to me, he pinned someone from the bloodline, argument maybe Jimmy Uso. I don't know if they want to pin Solo. I think they're kind of being very protective of Solo, and rightfully so. I think this is a guy that has a big future, and you don't want to sort of, taint him too much. But by the time he fights Roman, if that's the plan in Saudi Arabia, and then getting to Tampa for the Royal Rumble, to Macho's point, if he continues that sort of upward trajectory, it might throw a wrench into the plans. Like, what do you do? Do you have Rollins defend the title on night one against Knight or against Cody? Is it a fatal four-way? Could you? I mean, there's a plethora of possibilities here.
There are, man, but I just think that he's in the position he's in. I don't think it's going to catch on anymore, man. I don't think it's going to get to that point, man. I mean, look, he's first of all, you can't compare him to Bryan Danielson because Bryan Danielson is a sympathetic figure. You look at Bryan Danielson, he can already get you behind him. If he's getting beat up, you're going to, like, most wrestling fans are going to root for him. The way you're presenting LA Knight's more like Steve Austin. He doesn't really work from underneath. Bryan Danielson was like that underdog guy that the fans got behind. Similarly to Sammy. Sammy was kind of in that position as well. Mick Foley, guys like that. They become sympathetic characters. LA Knight's not a sympathetic character. What do you sympathize with? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I feel sympathetic, for the fact that LA Knight doesn't have a title. He's going to get a fucking title eventually. Something's going to happen to the guy. But you don't feel bad for him when you're looking at him. You know what I'm saying? And that's the big difference between him and Bryan Danielson. And that's why I don't think he's ever going to be in that position. Sammy had a better shot of being in that spot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Sammy still kind of does at any point because he's still so fucking over. Mm-hmm. What I think is good about this is you can show that he's ready to take that next step. And, to your point, he's had good reactions. He's moving merch. He's doing all the right things. But he still hasn't had that moment. He still hasn't had that transcendent match, that moment that takes him from mid-card to main event. And I think that this matchup with Roman Reigns has the potential to do that. And I think we could potentially see a different LA Knight.
I think the promos alone leading up to that confrontation, I think would be great. Obviously, with Heyman being involved, Roman, certainly the bloodline, what it means. I know there was some rumors last week that had it not been for him catching COVID, that he would have shown up to be John Cena's partner for FastLane.
Yeah. That was the plan.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see if that's still the case. Obviously, moving forward, I think there's a big upside for him, and we'll find out, obviously, based on what you're seeing with the news. of The Rock and obviously everything else. And listen, as much as fans want to see The Rock and John Cena on TV, and they're going to move merch and get ratings and traffic, ultimately we do want to see the writer's strike end and these SAG workers back to work. I mean, again, as movie fans, right, as comic book fans, we do want to see. We do want to see Deadpool 3 kind of get back into production. We do want to see you on Netflix get back into production. We do want to see other series eventually.
I want to see Stranger Things before the kids are like 30.
Sure, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
I want to see Deadpool just for Gambit alone. That's it. Just give me Gambit.
Absolutely. Guys, our main event topic here, and the reason I thought about this is because obviously you two being workers, I think would appreciate this is certainly, there's
former workers.
Well, you're workers.
We do not actively work.
No, you're not active, but you still work. You work. You worked. So I mean, you're workers. I'm not teaching right now. Doesn't mean I stop being a professor. I'll continue being a professorial. That's sort of that thing.
Is this like a double main event thing?
No.
Is this what we're getting at here?
No. Certainly, there's been a lot of talk about Jon Moxley's concussion last week on Dynamite. There's been heat on the referee. Certainly, there has been no shortage of opinions from wrestling insiders, podcasters, dirt sheet writers, and fans that have all taken to social media talking about what happened with Jon Moxley last week and Ray Fenix. Certainly, Fightful Select reporting that Moxley's injury happened early in the match and was not supposedly was not caused by the two Fenix drivers that Fenix delivered at the end. Certainly, a lot of heat has come.
Didn't fucking help it though.
Yeah, absolutely, and a lot of heat has come down. AEW referee Rick Knox. He's taken a lot of vitriol online. As two guys like yourselves who worked, who understand sort of the backstage politics, the inner workings about what happens when these sort of incidents happen during a match. And, I just want to get your perspective about let's sort of look at the roles here, not necessarily who to blame, but let's look at how difficult of a position these people are put in, whether it's Mike Knox, whether it's Fenix or Moxley. When something like this happens, let's be honest, it could have been catastrophic.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it as I did think it was the Fenix driver. That's kind of how I saw it, but I did see the report that it wasn't the last two Fenix drivers, that it was something that happened early on in the match. For me, it was, I think two different sides of it is I think Moxley kind of forced it. Like, he's like, we got to finish the match. We got to go out there. And then by the end, he was so gassed from having to protect himself the whole match that's why they called the audible. But for me, the biggest point about this is the fact that he is the Undertaker of that company. He is the most important person that CM Punk gets hurt, who we throw in the world title on. Oh, we need MJF to be the next guy. Well, put the title on Mox because MJF beating Mox is the biggest deal. Every single thing that happens in that company, it revolves around Jon Moxley. He's the break glass in case of emergency. And when I look at Tony Khan, I mean, yeah, that's kind of how I look at it.
Is it real glass? Are you breaking real glass in case of emergency?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, when I look at him, I think the biggest issue is that the owner thought it was appropriate to just leave his workers in the back, and there was almost 2 injuries, right? Now, we don't know because what Dynamite is happening as we talk right now, but Adam Cole is supposed to address his injury. That was just by himself. But I thought to myself that Tony Khan going out and dancing after the show instead of sticking with his guy and making sure he makes it to the hospital and taking care of him, that just really showed the lack of professionalism of that guy alone. And I think I'm sad that Jon Moxley's in a company where he's not protected the way he was in WWE.
You know what? I'm going to say this, okay? What he said is true. What he said is fucking true. And I'm going to give you the Italian gangster hand when I do it too. What you said is true, okay? He is one of the most important guys in AEW. For all the jokes, for all the nonsense, for all Moxley's in another fucking shithead match, all this stuff. Yo, he's an important guy to that company. He steps up when they fucking need him to, And he's a guy that, he deserves respect for that, for sure. But that whole situation was a fucking disaster.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the guy that I blame the most for it is Tony Khan. He's the guy that I blame for that shit because he should have had a better structure in place for his company from the fucking beginning. Okay? We talked about this. All right? You hire people that know what they're fucking doing to oversee what your talent is fucking doing. Okay? The talent means the wrestlers, the referees, the announcers. Jim Ross knows how to fucking announce. Tony Schiavone knows how to fucking announce, right? But you need somebody to give him pointers anyway. Not going to tell them what to do. They're just going to say, oh, hey, talk about this, and that, blah, 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 blah. Run sheet. All these guys get it. They don't even have fucking production meetings. They're just raw dogging the whole fucking thing. Just going right through it, right? Mm-hmm. And dude did not implement a fucking structure there to help his talent succeed. You hear stories from Jade Cargill talking about CM Punk had to teach her how to swing a fucking chair. Mm-hmm. Bro, they cover that shit in the PC. Or they'll have an agent, fucking teach you how to do this shit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They'll have somebody oversee. They'll have you practice it before you fucking go out there and do it. This is what a good wrestling company does. This is what a proper wrestling company does. But Tony Khan and these guys, and I'm not taking anything away from the town because they're doing what they're fucking told to do. They're raw dogging this whole fucking thing. Mm-hmm. And if you're not a professional there, or if you haven't learned a certain amount, good luck. Ayatu, bro. You basically go out there and you do your fucking thing and let the chips fall where they may. And unfortunately, a lot of the injuries in the company show that. You're also seeing a lot of the snowflake nature AEW and the AEW cultists. You got fucking Stevie Richards posting a video talking about what went wrong in the move. Now, he's been doing these videos for a while on YouTube. Yep. What went wrong? He breaks down moves where people get hurt, and he tells you what happened and why it happened, right? He does one with this, and he points out the fact that Tony Khan was fucking dancing, doing the Daniel Garcia fucking dance, okay? Poorly, I might add. No fucking surprise that guy doesn't know how to move his hips, you know? Mm-hmm. But anyway, I mean, we're three Latinos here, so, you know. But, you know, the thing is that it shows the level of unprofessionalism within AEW and where they're at as a company, and I blame Tony Khan for all of this and the referee not knowing what the hell to do. Why didn't you have Paul Turner there? Why didn't you have a senior referee? Why did you have some guy who doesn't know what the hell he's doing in that kind of spot? You have to learn how to improvise. You have to know how to improvise. This is where people talking to your referees and then being trained properly comes in. So again, I blame Tony Khan for all of this shit. And it's a disgrace that it fucking happened. And Jon Moxley deserves a lot of respect, in my opinion.
Yeah. 100%.
Absolutely. Guys, we're just coming up to about the top of the hour here. And as we're about to wrap up here, great show here. A lot of good topics.
I'm actually gonna have to tap out, guys. I have to go. To do my day job. I gotta go put a knife in my hand and make sure people have meat on their table. Yeah, let's go Niners. Yeah, I definitely want to be on the show that after the Niners play the Cowboys. I feel like the two of you are gonna be fire.
I'm hoping Dak Prescott breaks his leg or something before that.
Oh my God! Wow, what the fuck? On that note, all right, guys. Thank you so much for having me on.
Macho, God bless you, brother. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Yes.
Pat, interesting here. Really interesting tidbit about on this day in pro wrestling. And I know you're gonna laugh, be like, really, Fernando? But back in 1965, I didn't know this. And maybe you do. I know you're more of a wrestling historian than I am. But apparently, after the main event at Madison Square Garden, Bruno Sammartino defeated Tarzan Tyler and retained the WWF Championship. After the event, Sammartino went to a restaurant in Midtown Manhattan and locked the WWF title in his car. Following this meal, he discovered the car had been broken into and the belt had been stolen. In 2011, a former wrestler by the name of Handsome Johnny Barron passed away, and so his widow decided to move back home to Hawaii. When emptying the attic, she came across the WWF title belt wrapped in a towel, and apparently it was deemed and authenticated to be the original one used when the WWF split away from the National Wrestling Alliance. Subsequently, the title was bought by Dave Millican, who coincidentally makes titles right now for the WWE. Kind of interesting little turn of events.
That's fascinating.
It is.
I love those old stories about the business.
Absolutely. Also on this day, September the 27th, in 1987, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, then the Midnight Rockers, defeated Boris Zukov and Soldat Ustinov to win the AWA World Tag Team titles. But unfortunately, the decision was overturned when it discovered that the Rockers pinned the wrong man, subsequently not winning the titles. Also on this day in 1993, on an episode of Monday Night Raw, it was made official that Shawn Michaels had been stripped of the Intercontinental Championship. Now, the official line was that the belt was taken away from him having not defended the title for more than 30 days, although he had defended it on August 30th at SummerSlam 28 days earlier. The real reason was that Shawn Michaels at the time had failed a drug test, which he disputed, and he walked out on the company. Also on this day in 1998, in Hamilton, Ontario, WWF presented In Your House Breakdown, where Edge would make his pay-per-view singles debut against the late great Owen Hart. Other matches during the evening, the main event was a triple threat match.
Somebody else made their debut that night too, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was Christian who came out and distracted Edge so that Owen could roll him up for the win.
That is correct. Yes, that's also part of it. Also, The Rock pinned Ken Shamrock in a triple threat cage match, which also featured Mick Foley. In the main event, a triple threat match in name, theoretically, with the WWF champion facing off against The Undertaker and Kane, who were told that they were not allowed to beat each other for the belt. It would only count if one of them beat Stone Cold Steve Austin. The match ended when the Brothers of Destruction pinned Stone Cold at exactly the same time, leaving everyone to wonder who would be the official champion. We all remember the following night at the Joe Louis Arena, one of the more iconic moments in WWF history, when Stone Cold Steve Austin drove the Detroit Red Wings Zamboni into the ring, and you caught that iconic moment of Stone Cold Steve Austin being arrested, which again is a moment we'll all remember during the Attitude Era.
Oh, hell yeah.
Absolutely. Also, on this date as well, in 2012, in the Impact Zone in Orlando, Samoa Joe defeated Mr. Anderson to win the vacant TNT television title. It was assumed at the time that the champion, who was Devon, would be leaving the company due to contract disputes. He would return just 2 weeks later for Bound for Glory. Also, on this date in 2019, Ring of Honor held their Death Before Dishonor 16 event in Las Vegas. The main event saw Roosh defeat Matt Taven to win the Ring of Honor Championship. And on this day in 2020, WWE presented Clash of Champions from the Thunderdome in Orlando as Sami Zayn won the Intercontinental title in a ladder match featuring Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles, while Roman Reigns retained his Universal Championship against Jey Uso in what was essentially a referee stoppage. All this great stuff, folks, happened on this date, September the 27th, in pro wrestling history. What's coming up for you, brother?
Unbelievable, man. And you know what? I got to say, we've missed that segment of the show. We've missed you on this show. And we hope to see more of you here on Working the Marks. It hasn't been the same without you. I got to be honest.
Yes.
Me, the Macho Man, and Dee have been covering the show. Love having Macho on.
Yeah.
I think he needs to be
Macho.
a regular panelist. I think he's fantastic.
I love again two workers. I think on the show makes for a lot of dialogue because it gives us that perspective that fans who watch this show aren't going to get on a regular basis.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I think it's a great balance, man. It's
You didn't say that.
we got two guys who have been in the ring, who have done it, and we have a lifelong fan, an intelligent fan. You're not a smart fan, you're an intelligent fan, because you understand that it's a fucking business, and you get that fucking.
I get emotional like everybody else. I got my favorite.
Of course. No, and look, we're all guilty of it at some point or another. I mean, that's what keeps us interested after all. But just great to have you back, man. Check out the Child Actors. We got some shows coming up soon, October 14th. We're going to be playing a big one. I'm probably going to promote that one next show. But check out at WTF Productions on Instagram. And man, don't fucking message me anything, but you can message my band. That's cool. And message the show. Check out this show. Throw us a like. We hope you're enjoying the shorts out there. We'll keep it coming, man. Keep fucking watching. If not, I don't know, eat shit under a bridge. I don't know what to tell you.
Yes.
Real quick, Pat, before you go, just as a reminder, since we're wrapping up the month of September, folks, remember October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And not to sound sort of like, hyperbolic here, but for over 100 years, the American Cancer Society has been working with families all across this country, dealing with the challenges that cancer brings every single year. And certainly coming up in October, folks. It'll be the 2023 edition. It'll be Professor's Quest to Save Breasts on Thursday, October the 26th. We'll be plugging on the show leading up to it, but mark it on your calendars, ladies and gentlemen. Lolita's on River Road in North Bergen, the former venue known as Sabor. Great venue. We have outstanding prizes being raffled. Sojo, a day at Sojo Spa in Edgewater, restaurant gift cards. We have really, hot ladies hosting with me that evening. Music, all night long, networking opportunities. But more importantly, folks, all proceeds benefit the American Cancer Society and making strides against breast cancer, since October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we'll be making a point to plug that on the show throughout the month of October as we continue doing Working the Marks here on Famcast Media. And I wanted to sort of have Pat and me here on the show to sort of promote the importance. Folks, again, get checked. Ladies, get mammograms. Get them done regularly. Gentlemen, the same thing. Breast cancer affects men. Certainly not as proportionally as women. It's as serious as an illness as there is in the United States. We're making some advances and strides, but more needs to be done. With your help, we can do that coming up in the month of October. Folks, sharing is caring. Check us out on Famcast Media.
Check your balls, too. Check your balls. Get your asshole looked at if you have to, too. Get it all looked at. You know what I'm saying? Because cancer grows in all those places. So, look at your balls. Get your balls. You can get it on your dick. You can get it on your pussy. You can get it anywhere. Go get your fucking parts checked, bro. All right?
Go get checked.
And the breasts. And the breasts. And thank you, Fernando, Professor, for questing to save breasts. We appreciate that. I might even be at that fucking event. And we could talk about all the things that get cancer on it that you should get checked, too.
And, folks, for more information, to Pat's point, go to cancer.org. And get all the checklists and everything else that's on there, all the great information brought to you by the American Cancer Society. Folks, sharing is caring. Click the share button. Make sure you know that everyone is made aware about how much you love Working the Marks. Shout out to our amazing executive producer, Dee Rotten, who makes this show possible. Shout out to Macho Rodriguez. We're looking forward to having him back on as well. And, folks, if we're talking wrestling, we're Working the Marks here on Famcast Media. He is New Jersey's premier wrestling analyst, the PBR superstar, Patrick Vincent Rivera. I am New Jersey's premier journalist, Fernando Uribe. Folks, well, let's go Niners. Let's go Cowboys, hopefully, as we approach that big Sunday night game coming up in October. Folks, please party responsibly. And always remember, if you can be good, be bad, baby. We'll see you next week here on Famcast Media as we're Working the Marks.
Famcast Media. Bitch.